Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I am Ryan Bolin. Thank you all for joining me. So, pop artist, megastar Taylor Swift is facing some serious backlash after she made a music video where she's standing on a weight thing and she's standing there and she's looking down at it and the words fat comes up on it, and it's like she's getting a lot of backlash for this. People are just coming out and saying, oh my God, you're causing so much pain and anguish upon overweight people. Before I even begin to read just a portion of this article, I'm going to just put this out here right now. I can clearly see the marks and the edgings and the writings of Marxism right here, pitting groups against each other. But let's go on. Let's get right into this. Let's get right into this article and let's get into the detail, shall we? Taylor Swift is facing backlash after, quote, hurting the feelings of fans over what some are calling fatphobia. Now, I don't know who's coming up with that word, fatphobia. Just saying. What some are calling fatphobia in the video for her new song, Anti-Hero, criticized as demonizing and shaming the overweight alongside those with eating disorders. Use of the word fat is being singled out for the criticism. In the video released on Friday, Swift stands in a bathroom in front of a set of scales while a version of herself, which appears to be her inner critics, watches. And you can see the video yourself if you log into you go to the description box, log into the heading for the title for the article and read the article. The actual video the actual of the video is lodged inside and you can see it for yourself. When she steps onto the scales, the word, quote, fat immediately appears in capital letters on the dial, and she has a look of fear and self-judgment on her face. The scene drew criticism online after the video's release for allegedly demonizing and shaming fat people while offending the collective feelings of the overweight community. Taylor Swift's music video, where she looks down at the scale where it says fat, is a SHITTY way to describe her body image struggles. Fat people don't need to have it reiterated yet again that it's everyone's worst nightmare to look like us, New York-based eating disorder therapist Cheryl Rose wrote on Twitter. Having an eating disorder doesn't excuse fat phobia. Now, I mean, and then it goes on. It's some other things that's said here that I wanted to point out real quick before I get into my commentary. Okay, check this out. This is, and I'm not laughing at people who are overweight. That's not what I'm laughing. I'm laughing at people's feelings here. Australian activist Nick McDermott, a huge fan, quote, huge fan of Swift's, says she cried when she watched the video because her feelings were damaged by seeing the word fat. Why do we continue to perpetrate the narrative that fat is the worst possible thing you can be, and that fat is synonymous with lazy, unworthy, disgusting, abhorrent, or any other effing adjective that non-fat folks use to describe how horrendous their bodies are, she wrote on Instagram. This kind of anti-fatness, particularly with such a large and impressionable audience, is absolutely reprehensible. And this is just crazy because I can clearly, me personally, I can clearly see Marxism here. Okay. And so that's all I'm going to read right there. You guys can read the rest of that article on your own free time. It's just crazy how we're being pit against each other. But suffice this to say is that to me, that's clearly a Marxism rather right there. And now here's the question. Who put the word fat on the weight scale that she stands on? I mean, because it's literally on there. Who decided to put that word on? Was it Taylor Swift? Was it her idea to put the word fat on there? Here's my opinion. In my opinion, I don't think so. In my opinion, her Marxist handlers, the executive producers or whatever, the ones that created the video, decided to put the word fat in there. In my opinion, knowing Marxism the way I know Marxism, I believe they put that word in there to upset those who are overweight. Because now all of a sudden you got people who are overweight. Like the article said, that one woman in Australia was so upset she was in tears and crying and saying, why do we have to repeat this narrative? But there's no narrative. Listen, my sister. Thin people are not creating a narrative about overweight people. Thin people are not getting together and saying, you know what? These overweight people get on my nerves. These fat people get on my nerves. I'm a woo, 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 woo. No, that is being created by Marxists, in my opinion. The Marxism is all about creating division, the oppressed and the oppressor. In this instance, who is the oppressed? Overweight people. Who are the oppressors? Thin people. So now you got the thin people over here, and you got the overweight people over here, and they're mad at each other. And the Marxist is stirring up tension between overweight people and thin people. Come on, man. Marxism 101. Another thing. Look, if you think about Taylor Swift, you don't even have to think about it. Okay? Just think about it. If you look at her, she weighs about what, 10 pounds? She stands on a scale, and the scale says the word fat on it. Taylor Swift is not overweight. She weighs about 10 pounds. Okay, I'm being sarcastic, but you get the point. The woman is super thin. Really, if you really look at it from a flip side of it, to me, in a subtle, quiet way, the video is actually encouraging anorexia. I hope is it bulimia or anorexia? I think anorexia is when people starve themselves to death because they think that they're fat even though they like skinny as what. That's it. That's what that video clip is pushing, in my opinion. It's pushing anorexia or bulimia, whichever one. Correct me in the comment box below. But that's what I believe is being pushed. Okay, it's pushing in a subtle way this idea that no matter how thin you are, you still fat, you still overweight. It's not an attack against overweight people. That's a Marxist attempt to get people against each other. Now you got people crying and boo-hooing and all this kind of stuff. Marxists have infiltrated every faction of our society. They have infiltrated every faction of our society. But the key to busting their bubble is seeing what they're doing. They always see things as class struggle, and they always see things as the oppressor and the oppressed. But this right here is clearly overrated. Clearly overrated. And I believe, as I said earlier in the ending of this video, that the producers, her handlers rather, is the ones that decided to put the word fat on the scale. What other reason would you put that on there for? Other than to incite and make angry overweight people, which is exactly what happened. Put this in there because we know that they're going to get upset. Now you probably got people who are overweight forming groups and cliques and clubs and going to, if they're not doing it already, they will, and going to the government to get financing to support overweight people. Nobody's putting overweight people down. I'm not. Most people are heterosexuals. Most thin people are not. The way I see it, from my experiences and observations, I'm not seeing that. Okay, so this is clearly a Marxist attempt that just to keep more division going, so they can get their little revolution, a revolution in everything. It's getting more and more apparent every time I watch these type of stuff. It gets more and more apparent. But what do you guys think about this? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. God bless you all, and see you again.